Okay, so this is Microsoft project in there. So this is it's obviously Microsoft software. So it's a lot of similarities to other Microsoft software. So we have all the tabs at the top, along the top of it. We have some shortcut menus here. We've also some other shortcut menus at the bottom of the page as well. So the first thing that we would do in a project, if we're going to File, in there, and going to Options, I can have a look at the various different options available to me in there. So we have various different options available to me in here. So for example, our name and so on, but if I look into schedule, for example, in the options, so when I schedule it, I can decide what the start of the day of the week is, what the physical year is for the financial reporting. So that's January in Ireland, but it used to be, I think, June or July. How many hours a day we work, hours in the week and so on, what the default start time is and the end time is in it. When we put in a new task, do we manually schedule it or automatically schedule that task? So it depends on what we do. So I'm going to leave it manually for now, but usually it's better if you do it automatically. In other words, if you do it automatically, Microsoft Project will work out the earliest start time and earliest finish time for the project. Okay. 1 second. So we would normally, so here where it's manually scheduled, I would normally change that to automatic schedule. In other words, what that will do is Microsoft Project will set the earliest start time and earliest finish time for a task. So I'll show you how to do that later on. The duration is entered in days, hours. The work is entered in hours. So days. So if I'm doing a short project, I might use days. If I'm doing a longer project, I might use weeks or even months in there. But this is just the default days. So it means that if I type in on my project plan over here, where I have duration, if I type in 5, it will automatically assume that that's days because I've set here in the project options that it's days. But if I want to put that in weeks, I just type 5 WKS for weeks, or months 5 MON. I think it's MON, or if I just type in months, MONTHS, I know that it's months in there. So really, when I set these options, it's just that's what the default option is, but I can change any of that at any time within the project itself. So it's not the end of the world if I don't change these. Just can make it a bit more efficient if I have, for example, change it to weeks if I'm usually working in weeks rather than days. And there's various other things in there that we can change in it. Okay, so we'll just leave that for now. Okay, so that's the first thing. You can go in there to look at that and change it. Next thing I do is I go into the project tab button over here. Sorry for all the noise in the background. So we're going to the project tab at the top, and we're going to fill in the information on about the projects, the project information in here. So that's where we're going to say, well, when's the project going to start? So for example, I'm going to start this project on the 22nd of February. So that's the start date of the project. Current date is today, the 10th of February. And then I want to schedule from the project start date. So usually here we can schedule from the project start date or from the project finish date. In other words, that if I schedule it from the project start date, it means that what Microsoft Project will do for me, it will work out what the earliest start time is and the earliest finish time is for all the activities within the project. The other option is to schedule from the finish date and say, well, I need to move into this new house for Christmas Day on the 23rd of December. So tell me when is the latest time I have to start each activity, and when is the latest time I have to finish each activity. So we can either schedule from the start time, which will then work out when is the earliest start time and earliest finish time for each activity. And then we can also schedule from the finish time, which would end up telling us when is the latest start time and latest finish time for each activity. Okay. So that's that. So we'll say we'll do it from the start time. I think, did I forget something over here? Oh yeah, so over on the file in here as well, in the project information one, I can click on that and I can go advanced properties. because sometimes I ask you to put in things. So what's the title of the project? So this is example of project 1. Who it's by, who's my manager. So for example, what the company is. So you can change the name of that. I can put in keywords and categories, and that allows me, if I wanted to search for projects later on, and I say, well, housing, or residential, or retail, or commercial, or hospital, or so on. If I put in keywords, and I can find all those projects that fall under those keywords later on, so it kind of makes it easier to find them. I can also do some custom things. So sometimes I might ask you, well, what department? So if I wanted to find a department, because again, it's like in first year AutoCAD, or last year in AutoCAD and Revit, where you have in your title block on the page, you put in information about who the person is that drew the drawing, who checked it, what department it was done in, what company it was done in, and so on. It's very similar when you create a project plan. You need to make sure it's clear who created it, the date it was created, who checked it, what company it was, what department, and so on in there. So there's a lot of these fields underneath the customs tab that you can fill in. So for example, I could put in department. It could be a text, a number, or so on. So in this case, it's going to be text, and then the value I can put in. So I can say, in this case, let's call it civil engineering. So it could be the civil engineering department that's doing this project. Add that, and I can see now that's added into the properties value down below here, and I'll be able to then easily bring that into my sheet later on when I'm creating the sheet. Okay, so that's underneath this project. So where did I find that? I just went into File, and then over here to Project Information, and into Advanced Properties in there. And then the last tab there is the Custom tab. And there's loads of different things I can use there, like telephone number, or a revision number, or who checked it, checked by, or so on in there. Okay, so we've set up the project. So what do we do so far? We went in, we set up the options in there. We might want to change the duration in weeks instead of days, or so on, as a default. We also changed some of the project information, like the author and the company, and who's the manager, and so on. Then we went into project information, and we set the start date of the project, and we said we're going to schedule it from that start date. We said we could also set the finish date and schedule it from the finish date, like in here, what day is going to finish, and schedule it from the finish date. If I schedule it from the finish date, it's going to work out what the latest start date is and the latest finish date is for each activity. If I schedule it from the start date, it's going to work out what the earliest start time is and the earliest finish time for each activity, and then obviously the overall earliest time we can finish the project. So that's project information. In the same tab, in the project tab here, we're also going to go and change the working time. Okay, so this is very important, what we're going to do. So this is what you're going to do as part of your project, change the working time. So we can see the calendar here in front of me. I can see in black filled in square with the white writing. That's today's date that I'm at. We can see that it's grayed out on the Saturdays and Sundays. If we look at the legend on the left hand side, it says that the working days are in white, the non-working days are in grey. If we edit the working days, they're highlighted like this, on bold and underline. We can have exception days, and we can have non-default working days. So we can basically get exception days. That a normal working day would be Monday to Friday, but for example, we decide that there's a bank holiday, so we don't work on public holidays, so we can put that in as an exception day in there. Okay, so we can see it in that. We're going to do that in a second. We also can see on the right hand side here, it says the working times for today are 8 o'clock in the morning to 12, 1 to 5 o'clock, and we can change that. If I click on any day, it's the same time every day. So some people might work longer on Monday to Thursday and a shorter day on a Friday. We can change that. So if I go into the work weeks tab, I have so I'm down here in the bottom. They have the exceptions, and I have the work week tabs, and we have the default in there. If I click on details on the right hand side, on a Monday, I can see on Monday it's 8 to 12, 1 to 5. Same on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, I might say, well, from Monday to Friday. So I click on the Monday. I'm going to hold the shift button down with my finger. Click then with my mouse, the left button of the mouse, to Friday, and I selected then Monday to Friday. And instead of using the project default times for these days, I'm going to set these days to say I want to start not at 8 o'clock, but maybe at 9 o'clock. So put in 9 to 1. And then say 2 to 5:30, for example. Okay. And click OK. So then if I go back up here to calendar, I can see that every day I have that. Now I can change Fridays to a different time. Obviously, if I go in there to the details, I just click on Friday. And if I want to give Friday as a shorter day in the week, so that I have a shorter lunchtime maybe, and then finish earlier on the Friday. Okay. So then go into exceptions. So let's say we have some exceptions. So when's the next public holiday? Looking forward to it already. It's on the 17th of March. So 17th of March is always a public holiday for us, as long as it falls in a weekday. As long as it falls between Monday and a Friday. If it falls at the weekend, then it's the nearest Monday after that. So I'm going to give that as a day off. So I'm going to say as it's, so it's an exception. I've highlighted it up here at the top. It just makes it easier for me. Click on it and call it St. Patrick's Day. Okay. Click on the tab, and because I've clicked on the calendar above on the 17th, it automatically picks up the date on top. So it's going to give me the public holiday as the 17th. So we can see then. I'll just move down to the one beside it, so I can see here the 17th. It's coloured in light blue. It's bold and underlined because it's an exception day. When I click on it, I can see it's a non-working day because I've just set it as a non-working day. Okay, so that's handy. Now, another thing I can do here is if I go down to the options button at the bottom of the screen there, at the bottom of the dialog box, I click on options. That gives me back into that same options one that I was on earlier on, where I can change various different settings in there in terms of times and so on in there. If I click on details on the right hand side here, I click on details. So this is details for St. Patrick's Day. So if I close that again, remember when I was on work weeks, and I clicked on details, it's whatever cell I'm highlighting. So here it's highlighted the default one. When I click on details, it gives me the details for default. You see it wrote on the top here. Whereas when I go on exceptions, now I've clicked on the St. Patrick's Day version, click on details, and it tells me this is the details for St. Patrick's Day. I've set it as a non-working day. I've set it that it's going to happen daily, but it's only going to happen once. But I can also set it to happen, a reoccurring happen. And this is handy if I have multi-annual projects. Okay, so I have a project that's going to go on for several years in there. So I go in and I say that the number of occurrences in there. So let's say I want to, I think it's a 5-year project. So I'm going to go and do a 5-year project. Now, if I keep an eye on this this little box here where it says in by date, I can see that this year it's a Wednesday, St. Paddy's Day. If I go after 2 occurrences, next year it's reoccurrence pattern, not daily. We want to happen every year. We want to happen every year. So reoccurrence pattern ever happen every year. We want to happen on the 17th of March because it's always on the 17th of March. So we want to happen, and how many times are going to happen? So after 1 occurrence. So we watch this box down here. So next year is on a Thursday. The year after is a Friday. Now, if I go into the year after, it's a Sunday. So I have to make sure that in 2024, I will manually put in, the Paddy's Day, not on the 17th, but it's going to be a public holiday on the 18th. So I need to make sure I put that in. And the following year is on a Monday again and so on. So I'll just do 3 occurrences here because it won't be any more than 3-year project. Okay, so that's the 17th of March. When's the next one after that? So Easter. So Easter is hard to work out because it's the lunar thing, but so we have Easter Monday. And I'm not sure when Easter Monday is this year. Easter Monday is probably going to be somewhere around here, the 5th of April or something. I'm not sure when it is. So we'll set it as the 5th of April. That's Easter Monday. Again, you look up online. So put that in. 5th of April, 5th to the 4th, 2021. Finish on the 5th, 4th, 2021. Okay. That's Easter Monday, 2021, and then we'd have to look up when is Easter next year and put in the date for Easter Monday and so on. That's a holiday. Okay, so May is easier. So we get May Day. So we get May Day off. So May Day is always the first Monday in May. So because I've highlighted there, it's the first Monday in May, 3rd of May. Again, I go into details here, and I'm going to happen this every year. And it's not going to happen on the 3rd of May. It's going to happen on the first Monday of May. So this is really handy because no matter when, what date of the month it is, it's always going to be given me. So look, I can see this year is on the 3rd, next year is on the 2nd, the following year is on the 1st, then it goes into the 6th and so on. So you can change the number of occurrences in there. That's the same with the June bank holiday weekend. So June, I don't know what June day is called, but again, that's public holiday. So this year is the 7th of June. So 7th of June 2021, and so on. And then I can go into details, and happen every year on the first Monday of June each year, and happen after 4 occurrences or so on. Okay, so I'm not going to scroll through them all. We obviously have the August bank holiday weekend, which is the first Monday in August. I'll just do the October one actually, because October holiday. Because October holiday is the last Monday. So just to show you, again, it's October holiday. It's going to be the last Monday. So this year, it's last Monday is the 25th. So 25th of October, 2021. Okay, and then I can go into details, tell it it's going to happen every year, but this time it's going to happen on not the 4th, but the last Monday of October every year, and then I can keep changing. So you see, it's the 30th, it's the 31st next year, it's the 30th the year after, and so on in there. Okay, so that's, and then your Christmas Day and Stephen's Day and so on. And again, Christmas Day and Stephen's Day might fall at the weekend, so you have to put them on the following the nearest Monday after that, they're at the weekend. Okay, so you put those in. So you need to do that as part of your project. In the very first project, you're also going to include the builders' holidays. So you need to look up the CIF, the Construction Industrial Federation holidays, and you'll find that online every year. They publish it, and those are the builders' holidays. So that's when the building sites close down. So you're going to add those into your project plan for your very first one as well. So that'll be your 2 weeks off in the summertime, the Easter break, Christmas break, and so on in there. You'll definitely find the ones for 2021. If the ones aren't there for 2022 up online, you can assume what they are based on this year. So okay, so that's the calendar in there. Okay, so that's change working time. So what have we done so far? So we've we've set when the project start is going to be. We have said that we want to schedule the project from the start. We've changed the working time in there, and we have and we've kind of set up the information about the project at the start. Okay, so now we're going to start to put in some tasks or activities in there. So just looking at what the interface is here that we have. We have on the left-hand side here, we have cells. So this looks like if you should be used to using Excel in there. So this is just cells like Excel. Some of them have they're just normal cells that you type into. Some of them have little arrows for going up and down. Some of them have drop-down menus and so on in there. Okay, and then on the right hand side is our chart. So this is a Gantt chart that you would have learned about previously in your other subjects. So the Gantt chart, which is basically a bar chart, where you see at the top of the screen here, we have a timeline in there. So timeline where it starts on today's date, which is the green line. Down here is today's date, and then that's the timeline for the project. Okay, so if I start with say. This project, so I'm just going to call the first one start, okay? Because it's the very first thing I'm going to do in the project is to start the project. Next thing is then, so I'm going to just type that in and then press tab across, and then I'm on duration is the next thing. So I'm going to give it a 0 duration because I'm going to start it and I want to call it a milestone. So as I said, in Microsoft Project for a milestone, which marks a major event in the project, if I give that as a 0 duration in it, it's going to call it a milestone. Click across in it. And I can see here on the right hand side, it says the 22nd of the 2nd. Why did it decide it was the 22nd? Because we said that that's the date that the project is going to start. Because we went into project information, we said with the start date, the project was Monday the 22nd of February. So that's why it started on that date. So that's the start date of the project. Now, And then it's a diamond that is shown in terms of the picture because it's a milestone. If I look here under task mode, I can see in task mode there's a little pane with a question mark beside it. And what does that mean? That means that the task is manually scheduled. So it's scheduled based on whatever date I type in there. What I like to do is get it to automatically schedule when these things are going to start and when they're going to finish. So I want to change that not from a manual but to automatic. So I can either go in here in the drop down and go into auto schedule. And I can see it's auto scheduled and it's giving me the start and finish date here filled in based on that it's going to start it as early as possible, effectively start on the start date of the project. I can see that the color has changed here. Okay, if I change it back to manually scheduled, then we can see it's now manually scheduled. The question mark has gone out of it because the question mark was that, you know, it set that automatically or for me, but I hadn't confirmed that that was right. So you can actually use the question mark in here. Same with your duration. Actually, you can put in a question mark beside it. It means I'm uncertain about that. I need to come back to it again, but at least it shows how many days I need in there. Okay, so that's manual. So I did it by going here, drop down menu. I can also go down to the bottom here. And also can go in, click with the arrow across, click with the right button, and go in here to auto schedule the task. Okay, so let's click with the right button over there, and I can auto schedule the task. And I can also go up to the top and onto the task tab, and I can see up here I can manually schedule. So it's changed to manually schedule or auto schedule it. So here's what 3 different ways to change it. If I want to make sure every future task that I have inserted is auto scheduled or the manual scheduled, if I go down to the bottom of the screen here, I can go into new tasks and I can say all new tasks are auto scheduled in there. So it says auto scheduled. Or if you remember, I could have gone into the options and in the options in the scheduling, I had an option there to auto schedule or manual schedule. Okay, so it's a different way. So you'll see that in Microsoft Project, there's several ways, several shortcuts to do the same thing. So I'm just kind of highlighting. You get used to picking certain ones all the time. So I'm auto scheduling each task. So that's one that catches out people. Usually it's kind of a grey color. It's not solid if it's manually scheduled, and it's solid once it's auto scheduled in there. So it's automatically scheduled. Okay, so start the project. Okay, so I'm going to just put some things in. Obtain planning. Okay, so I'm going to say that's going to take 8 weeks. So see how it has a question mark again because it says 1 day because it's kind of just saying, well, that's an estimate. Well, I'm going to say that it's going to take 8 weeks. So it automatically puts in days because that's what I have set in my options. But if I want to say 8 weeks for planning, 8 weeks, I just type in 8 weeks and shortcuts it to 8 weeks. Now, so I'm obtaining the planning. So you see it's saying that it's going to start on the Monday straight away because it's scheduling it as early as it can. And there's nothing to say it can't start any earlier than that. But I want to say, well, I want to link it. I want to link it to the predecessor, which is the start. So I have predecessors in here. Now, so how do I link it to the one before that? Well, I say, well, the one before that is on row 1. So if I just type in 1 in here, then it links it together. If I look over on the right-hand side, I now have an arrow coming from the diamond, which is the milestone of start date, telling me that I cannot obtain planning until I've finished the previous task, which is to start. So that's why the arrow comes into the very start of the task. Okay, so obtain planning permission. We'll say I might establish the site. Okay, so establish the site, and that might take me 3 days. I'm just going to type 3 days in there, and I can't establish the site until I have planning permission obtained. So obtain planning is on row 2. So the predecessor for establish the site is to obtain planning permission. So I type in row 2 in there. Okay, so I've established the site. I will create entrance road. Okay, so 2 days. Once I establish the site, I can do that. So that's row 3 is a predecessor for this. And then I will dig foundations. Okay, and I might dig the foundations, might take me 5 days for doing that. And I'm going to dig those as soon as I create the road. So the road is row 4. So the predecessor for row 5, which is dig foundations, is row 4. Okay, you can see over the right hand side here, I can see my Gantt chart has gone all over here, but I only can see the first task in there. Okay, so I want to be able to see more than that. So if I go up to the timeline across the top here, then I can click with the right button on the top, and I can say in terms of zoom, And I can zoom in for the entire project and click OK. Okay, so I just went up here with the right, click on it, click zoom, and run the entire project, 3 months, and then I can see there's all the tasks. So now I can see that the project at the moment is going to finish on the 11th of May. And I can also see the timeline up at the top here, where I'm starting on the 22nd of February, and I'm finishing on the 11th of May over here. And we can see, there's the first task, obtain planning permission. Once we finish that, we can start the next one. That's why the arrow comes out at the end. And in here, when we finish the established site, we can start the next one, and so on. So as well as digging the foundations, then we can, so we can now build walls. Okay, we might take 2 weeks to build the walls. Okay, we're going to dig the walls as soon as we have the foundations done, which is 4. Now, but we might be able to build the walls straight away after digging the foundations, because, for example, we pour the concrete and we might have to wait 2 or 3 days before we start building the walls to make sure the concrete is set enough. So we'll say, well, the predecessor for building the walls is number 5, is dig foundations. So when 5 finishes, so I'm going to go 5F. So when 5 finishes, I'm going to start this one. So when 5 finishes, 5F, when 5 finishes, I'm going to start to build the wall. But I'm not going to start it straight away. I'm going to start it plus 2 days. Okay, so that's why I put in type plus 2 days and click return on that. Now, again, I'll zoom in here, zoom the entire project. So I just clicked with the right button up onto the timeline at the top. And I can see here, look on the on the Gantt chart here on the right hand side, I dig the foundations. And instead of starting straight away, like so all the other tasks, when I finish one, I start the next one straight away. I can see when I finish this one, digging the foundations, I finish it on the 11th of May. It had taken me 5 days. So I'm just hanging over the task there and it's telling me the information. Then I can't start the next one, building the walls, until I leave it till 2 days. So to be finished on a Tuesday, the 11th, and then I have to wait 2 days. So I should start then on Thursday. So if I hang over this one, I can see it's 2 days later, starting on Thursday and finishing the Friday the following week. Okay, so I can be building the walls. As well as that, I could be maybe building the walls. I could be doing some landscaping, for example. Okay, because the track machine is still there on site. So rather than the track machine heading off and not kept busy, we might as well keep him busy while he's there, because it costs money to get machinery on site and to leave it off and to get it off site again. Also, it's hard to get them back sometimes. So we get him landscaping. So he's going to be maybe 5 days doing the landscaping around. And he'll do the landscaping after he digs the foundations. So digging the foundations is row 5. So the predecessor for landscaping is row 5. And we click that in. So you see at the moment it's scheduled to start straight away at the beginning of the project. Until we set the predecessor, which is row 5, and away we go. So we can see when we finish digging the foundations, what happens is straight away the track machine and the labourer might go off doing the landscaping. And 2 days later, the block layers can come in and start doing the block work in it. Okay, so that's the landscaping side of it in it, and then we'll say build the roof. So what else? Install a roof, install windows and external door, plaster. First fix of plumbing and electric, plaster, walls. Second fix plumbing and electric. Timber work inside, carpenter, complete. It's all white goods like your your cooker and fridge and so on. So it's all bathrooms. I just call it finishes. So finishes. So your tiling and all that kind of stuff, and then that's it. So we're not going to put in the kitchen. That's left to the client afterwards. So that's all the things. So I'll just put a bit of timing in those. The roof, 7 days. Windows and doors, 4 days. first fix the plumbing and that. We give them 9 days to do that. The plastering of the walls, we give them 8 days. Second fix, we give them 5 days. Complete the carpentry work, we give them 8 days, and finishes we give them 16 days. Okay. And then install the roof. We can't put the roof on until the walls are on, so that's 6, row 6 is for that. Install windows and external doors. We want to make sure that the roof is on before we do that, because we don't want it to blow out. We first fix the plumbing and electrical works, so we can do that once the roof is on. So once 8 is on, plaster the walls, we can do that once the first fix is done, so after row 10. Second fix, once the plastering is done, we can do that. And the carpentry, we can do that maybe after the plastering of the walls as well. We'll just do that in parallel. And the finishes we can do when we have the electrics in and so on. So that'll be, say, 12. We might be doing some of the tiling while we're doing the carpentry work at the same time. Okay, so that's just an example of thing. I've left loads of things out. Obviously, as a project planner, as a project manager or a construction manager, you know, the windows don't just arrive. We have to order them 6 or 8 weeks in advance in there. So we need to make sure that we have, you know, ordering windows and doors and all that into our project plan. So we're going to finish the project then once we have the finishes done in there. But we can see that some activity here we need to keep an eye on. This one, complete the carpentry work. You know, we better link that in as well, because there's nothing coming out the other end, so we'll link that to the finish as well. So 14 is in there, and we also need to, so if I click in there, I want to also get the carpentry work, so 13, so comma 13. So you can see now I've got more than one activity linked to another one. Yeah, so we can link more than one activity. And I see some up here that aren't linked as well. So landscaping, well, we have to finish the landscaping as well before we can hand over. So that's required. So we'll have to put that in there to be finished. So we've loads of time here to get that finished. And then this one is install the windows and external doors. So we can't do the plastering until we have that done. So that's plastering. So we have to put in number 9 in there as well. So just click on the same thing there, 10 and 9. Okay, so I'm just checking to make sure we have, you know, all these linked up together. So that's the project plan done. Okay, so we're running out a little bit of time. So what I put in, so today was just about putting in the different activities or different tasks in there. So I put in a list of activities or tasks. I've got them to auto schedule. So the project or Microsoft Projects has worked out the earliest start time and earliest finish time for each of these, which is linked, which is listed here. And also I can see them on the Gantt chart on the right hand side. I put the predecessors, in other words, what activities do we need to do complete before we start the next activity. So I've done that in there, so finish 2 days. And then later on in the course, what you'll see is we'll add in some resources allocated to these. So obviously we'll put in labourers, the machinery, the materials and so on associated with them, but we won't do that at the moment. And we've seen that what the earliest finish time is. Now, we mentioned critical path earlier on in the first hour. So the critical path is those activities that we basically cannot change the duration of the activities, because if we do change the duration of the activity, it will change the overall duration of the project. So how do we can see the critical path? Which of these activities are on the critical path? If I click with the right button on the screen here, on the Gantt chart side, I can go into show hide bar styles, and I can click on critical tasks. And by doing that, I can see anything in red is on the critical path. So we can see all activities bar 3 are in the critical path. So in other words, if I change the duration, like for example, of chain planning, if we were delayed on that, that would delay the overall project by 2 weeks. If I was to delay building the walls by 2 days, it would delay the overall project by 2 days. Whereas the landscaping, you know, I have loads of gaps here. In it, you see all the space here. I can move the landscape wherever I want without changing the overall duration of the project. And same, there's another one here where I have a bit of wiggle room I can see here for install the windows and doors. I have a little bit of room here. In other words, I can move that task anywhere from there over to here before it's going to affect the next activity. So this activity here. So I can actually look at that again. If I click with the right button, I can add in slack time into this. So the slack time, which is this one here, the slack time is how much time I can delay an activity finishing before it's going to affect the overall duration of the project. Okay, so I just clicked on the right hand button and showed the style in it. I think I can also, if I do the bar styles, no, I can change that, not that one. Yeah. Okay, so if I click with the, I'll click with the right button, I can go format the bar in here. Should bring up a dialog box. So format the bar, and I can say, well, I want to put some text on it, and the text I want to put on to the left-hand side could be the slack, total slack. There's a total slack in there. Click OK, and then I can see the total slack is 52 days. I'll put that in the. So I went on here into. So I click over into format bar. To do that, let's click with the right button, format bar, start the total slack. I put that into the left hand side. Maybe I should put that over into the right hand side just to make it a bit easier. So if I put it into the right hand side, total slack. Okay, so there's 52 days of total slack there. So we can put that into any of those bars information that we want on it. So you can put different text on the right hand side in there. Okay, so the last thing, we should be pressing save as we're going along. The last thing then is just for printing it out, to set the print set out in there. So if I look at the print in it, I can see here this is not a great print setup because I'm missing all of the Gantt chart. So I don't want this over 2 pages because the first page is there, the second is that. So I don't know, that first bar, what it's related to and so on. So I can set this to make sure that it is settings, page setup down here. So in the page setup, if I click on the page setup, I can say that I want to fit it into 1 page wide and 1 page tall. I can put in the margins and the headers and the footers and so on. So I can change all of that information. So for example, I would want to change some of these footnotes and some of the information down here to make sure my name is on it, the company number and so on. So I'll leave you up to that, to do that yourselves in there. So there's the legend. So at the moment it's got the project, the date and so on, but I might want to put my name in there. Or created by, we'll say. Created by, and then it's created by, find my name somewhere, company name, author, add. Okay, so created by plus author, and I can see it's there. And I've set it by a page to fit 1 page wide and so on. Hopefully it comes up. So now I've got the whole thing fitted into 1 page. I've got a Gantt chart on the right hand side. I've got my name and whatever other details I need to put in there. And I've got what the legend on the bottom, what each of the different things mean. Now there's more tidied up that can be done on that, but that's enough to start you off. Then you should print that to a PDF. So in my case, I've got Microsoft Print to PDF, print it to a PDF, print. And then it should come up and save as a PDF. So example 1. Example 1, and I'll have a PDF saved. And then you submit your PDF version and your Microsoft Project version in there. Okay, so that's a quick introduction to Microsoft Project.